Certainly. So Batman started in Detective Comics in 1939, number 27. And the history of it is that DC had done very well with the Superman comic the year before, and they wanted to have another superhero. So they went to Bob Kane and asked him to come up with a character. So he took Da Vinci's Ornithopter and a tracing that he did of another character. Some say that was Superman, some say it was Flash Gordon, and then created the Batman character. And then Bill Finger came in to collaborate with him, created the Batman cowl and some of the other features and the coloring of the costume, as well as some of the background. And Batman was an instant hit in the comic books. So most people think of the TV show as being the first that Batman was on screen, but it's not true. He was in these serials in 1943 and 1949 by Columbia Pictures. These were 15-minute episodes that were shown right before movies back in the day, kind of like movie previews of today. That's how they were handled. And then the feature film would start. Well, these were being shown at a Playboy mansion, and Douglas Kramer at 20th Century Fox bought the rights to Batman without an idea of really what to do with it. Then he hired Bill Dozier, the producer of Batman, as a consolation prize, who also had no idea what to do with it. Then they hired Lorenzo Simple Jr., who knew exactly what to do with it, to create Batman to work on two levels. To work a straight action adventure for kids 12 and under, and then for anybody 16 and older, it was the greatest put on in Hollywood history. So Batman oftentimes is maligned. People think that because it was campy that it hurt the comic books, but it didn't. Batman was on the verge of being canceled by DC Comics, down to only 4,000 issues per month sold. Well, after the TV show came out, look at how many they went up to. 900,000 issues sold.
Adam West saved Batman.
Adam West saved Batman, that's right. So the TV show ran from January 12, 1966 through March 10th, 1968. And it ran 2.5 seasons. And it started off at the top. It was a huge success right out of the gate. So as Adam West said, there's only one direction to go when you start at the top, and that's unfortunately down. And by the third season, the ratings were just low enough that it was time to cancel the show. Today, it would still be considered a huge hit because it was still in the 18 to 20% range, even in its final year. And today, they think it's a big deal if a TV show has an 8% range of ratings. So after the TV show, there were various animated versions of Batman that came out, the Adventures of Batman, the New Adventures of Batman, Super Friends, and so on. Sometimes voiced by Adam West and Burt Ward, sometimes not. Then in 1978, the Superman movie came out with Christopher Reeve, and Warner Brothers was trying for about 10 years to get the Batman movie off the ground. And it wasn't until The Dark Knight Returns graphic novel came out that they were able to get the job done. And that's when Tim Burton's version came out. So both Michael Keaton starring in two of the movies, 1989 Batman and 1992 Batman Returns. And then after that, we have one of the best versions of Batman ever. Batman the Animated Series came out, seen by many as to be the ultimate version of Batman. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, of course. Yes. Is this your favorite version?
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Is it one of your favorites? Very good.
Probably Gus Van Sant 66.
Very good. Awesome. Then they brought in Val Kilmer and Nicole Kidman, and I thought they did a very nice job. I thought they had really good chemistry. I really enjoyed Batman Forever. I didn't think it was too far, except maybe Jim Carrey was overused a little bit and Tommy Lee Jones underused a little bit. But I really enjoyed the movie overall. Thought it was a blast. But the next one, poor George Clooney. He never could get past the point of making this terrible Batman movie, could he?
Just no.
But it's interesting that I thought he was a perfect Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's a pretty good version.
It looked like he walked right off the comic book page. Behind you over here is a screen capture from the TV show of the exterior of Wayne Manor. This is the house in Pasadena that they used. The cast was only there for one day for the Batman movie. They were never there for the TV show. They only used a handful of stock shots. And then over here on the far right is what the house looks like today. Still exists, still being used in movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
So the interiors were all shot inside of sound stages. So there were 3 different versions of the study. The first version was shot at 20th Century Fox for the pilot. Then they moved everything over to Culver Studios, where they expanded the sets quite a bit. But by the time of the 3rd season, they had reduced the size of the set because they had to make room for Barbara Gordon's apartment. The props would change positions on the desk as needed, same with the furniture in the background. So over here, Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara would do the very important job. They would determine who the villain was that was terrorizing Gotham City that week. Their deductions were always right on the money. They hit it perfectly every single time. Unfortunately, that's about the end of their usefulness, wasn't it? But they called Batman on the hotline, and that's what takes us into this room. This is our replica of the Wayne Manor set. This was a very difficult set for us to build with the wainscoting all the way around, the mitering of all those 90-degree corners. I had to source the fabric wallpaper from England to get a matching pattern. And my wife is a librarian, and Miss Jill took it upon herself to digitally source all 130 books in the bookcase. Then we played around in Photoshop, printed them out on vinyl, then wrapped them around styrofoam blocks to make this workable. This was the most difficult one to work out. It's a rare Encyclopedia Americana from 1962. Why was it rare? It was a World's Fair exclusive. So Jill found it. There are only 2 photos on the internet of that particular book set.
So the rest seem to be like, as you said, wrapped around styrofoam blocks. Now, those ones look real.
This started out as just a styrofoam block also, but a friend of mine named John Payne, a Batman fan that's on 66 Batman tribute site, he made these individual books. So he did a great job. And then up above we have our styrofoam fish that Abby restored. She made the fins and made the eyeball and then hand painted all those little black dots. I thought she did a very nice job. The lamp is not screen used, but it is the exact same vintage and manufacturer. The wall sconces were made from 3 different light kits in order to make it look as accurate as we could. Some things in the room are placeholders, other things are right on the money, exactly what was on the set. So we have the sailing ship over here. We have a lamp that Abby custom made. She did the taxidermy on the styrofoam snow leopard up here, painted the, we think it's an impala, but it could have been another animal there above the fireplace. And then on the far left, we have the Oryx Gemsbach. So what was the first thing that happened inside the study?
So the bat phone would ring, right?
Right. The bat phone would blink and beep. Alfred would answer. I shall fetch him, sir. Then he would go distract Aunt Harriet. Bruce and Dick would come dashing through the double doors. Who's your favorite villain?
Probably the Joker.
The Joker. Yes, Commissioner. The Joker would be right there. They would hang up the bat phone, then what would they do?
They would pull back the bust and the bookshelf.
They would hit the switch on the Shakespeare bust.
What?
To the bat poles.
Dude.
Bruce and Dick would go running to the bat pole, slide down, and it would go to the animated intro, then the commercials, and when they came back, they were already dressed as Batman and Robin sliding into the Batcave. I wanted to know what happened in between. It wasn't until the Batman movie came out after first season, we got to see a song. Yes, the instant costume change lever. Very good, you know your stuff. So, what was the reality for Adam West and Burt Ward? They slid down into a 7-foot concrete pit, landing on mattresses, and climbed a ladder to come out.
That probably wasn't too comfortable.
Not exactly right. And this wall behind was not there on the TV show set. That was where the camera crew was located, of course. So this is where we have our 4 pieces of music that were loaned to us by the Songbook Foundation, a music museum in Carmel, Indiana. And so these are digital copies of the original handwritten music Nelson Riddle did of the Batman theme. Now Neil Hefti wrote the theme as a song, but he wasn't available to score the TV show, so Nelson Riddle did the first 2 seasons, then Billy May did the 3rd season. And next up, we normally have a theater to show a documentary, but we'll bypass that for your video here. We show 2 or 3 different documentaries. One called Holy Memorabilia, one called Going Batty with George Barris. And then the near future, we'll be doing Resurrecting the Dragster Bat. And then the story of how the Batman Museum came to be. So the timeline banner continues over here with Return to the Batcave. This was a 2003 reunion movie that brought Adam West and Burt Ward back, loosely playing themselves in it. And somebody has stolen the Batmobile. They have to reminisce about the old days when they were on the TV show. Then they brought in younger actors to play them for it. And of course, the fact that Julie Newmar and Frank Gorshin are in it might be a clue as to who stole the Batmobile, right?
You were on that documentary, right?
On this documentary, yes. But not in this one. No.
Okay. I need to... Yeah, that one.
Then we had the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight series of movies that came out with Christian Bale. And of course, Heath Ledger did a phenomenal job as the Joker.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, indeed. Then we had the animated version of Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward reprising their roles again, both in the Return of the Caped Crusaders and in Batman vs. Two-Face, with Bill Shatner, Captain Kirk, playing Two-Face and doing a very good job. And Zack Snyder's version of Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman.
Oh, rest in peace, Batman.
Yes, unfortunately in 2017. Then we had Robert Pattinson playing in The Batman. We've got The Batman 2 coming out here in the near future. Down below here we have The Flash, where Michael Keaton reprised his role as Batman. What'd you think of that?
The Flash was a good movie. It was good, but like there's a few things I would change.
For sure. For sure. So there's so many stars that wanted to be on the TV show that they didn't have room to make them all villains. So what they did instead is they created the cameo for the Bat-Climb. So here we have a celebrity of that time, Susie Knickerbocker, who was a gossip columnist. And Batman and Robin would climb the wall, whatever celebrity of the week would pop their head out, and they would talk with Batman and Robin for just a moment or two, and then they would continue their climb up the wall. But they didn't really climb the wall, did they? Instead, the set was turned sideways, the background was turned sideways, and Adam and Burt would just walk on a horizontal path, and they had fishing lines holding their capes to make it workable.
So am I allowed to climb?
Sure, of course, please. That would be terrific.
Get this one sideways, please.
A high five? And it's surprisingly fun as people do this. It's a little bit ridiculous at first, but then after they get used to it and they realize what this is all about, then they see the pictures, they go, oh my goodness, this is great.
Yeah.
We have a tribute area to my father, without whom none of this would have been possible, not just because of birth, but because of his can-do attitude. He really instilled that in both my brother and myself because he grew up on the farm in southern Illinois. He was a landlord that did a lot of his repairs on his own. He collected ducks, he started businesses, he helped businesses, including my brother's and my own, to be able to get us started. And he was just a great guy. He was one of the reasons why we chose this building. I was looking at two others. He said, no, this is the one. And I said, really? Why? And he said, because it already has an elevator. And he was right. It would have cost $125 grand to install an elevator in a building. So, very wise man. Over here we have some screen used items. We have a penguin jacket worn by Burgess Meredith in the 3rd season of the show.
So that jacket there looks like the one that was on Frank Ocean over there.
You bet. That's from the 2003 reunion movie from Return to the Batcave. And I don't think that Julie Newmar wore this Catwoman belt, but she did sign it for us. And I think it's just a replica belt. Same with the walkie-talkie. I know for sure that that's just a replica. Then the Batarang and the Bat Radio are not screen used, but they were molded directly off of screen used props.
Okay.
And we have the shark repellent bat spray.
Shark repellent bat spray.
Yes. You never know when you might need one of these oceanic repellent bat sprays.
Yeah.
Over here we have a section devoted to the Joker and another section devoted to Penguin. And then the brand new display is this Batman the Animated Series display. So a lot of people, of course, are huge fans of the Batman the Animated Series. Again, Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. Mark Hamill doing the Joker was just amazing. And what a cast they had.
Yeah.
It was almost as big a cast as what they had in the TV show, maybe bigger when you consider the celebrities that were on it. So over this way, we have the Rogues Gallery proper. Who's your favorite villain? The Joker.
Yeah.
That's right. We did say that inside the study, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right this way, we have Mr. Freeze, played by 3 different actors. It was played by George Sanders originally. Then they wisely got rid of the helmet and did the Freeze collar. And this was what they used for Otto Preminger, the director that played him in the 2nd season. And then at the tail end of the 2nd season was Eli Wallach. And the costume is very accurate to the Eli Wallach version because Eli himself helped Troy, the guy that made the costume, with tips on how it was put together. So over here we have the magnificent Julie Newmar as Catwoman. Yes, she really is this tall. She was 5'11" and a half, and then they put her in the boots with the kitty heels.
She couldn't wear the heels when standing next to Batman, correct?
Right, so even though Adam West was 6'2" and they had a little bit of a heel, she was towering over him. So they took the boots off and put her in slippers in scenes where the two were together. Then Lee Merriweather played her in the Batman movie while Julie was recovering from back surgery. And then in the 3rd season, they brought in Eartha Kitt because Julie was off shooting McKenna's Goal with John Wayne. Then the Penguin, Burgess Meredith, character actor. And what do you think? Do you know why he said all the time as the Penguin? It's because he had quit smoking 10 years before the show, and he was coughing and gagging, and he thought he needed something to cover up the sounds. So that's why he created that sound effect. And the producers and directors liked it so much that it became part of his character and his dialogue from that point on. So we have a motion sensor going off over here, so I'll turn that off for the sake of this.
I was saying, Riddler, we're not on to you yet.
Right. Here we have a bomb, and some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. This is our replica of the bomb from the Batman movie. And Adam West's line of "Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb" is considered one of the top 100 cinematic lines ever recorded.
It's just people.
It sure is. It's just amazing. Did you want to hold it?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Mr. Frank Gorshin was the Riddler, and he did a fantastic job. That manic energy was amazing. His laugh was ridiculous and in a great way. And he did so well in that pilot episode that they nominated him for an Emmy. And unfortunately, it went a little bit to his head. He asked for triple his salary for second season. And the producer turned him down flat and then brought in John Astin to play the Riddler in second season. Did not go over very well with the fans because he didn't bring the manic energy that Frank Gorshin had to the role. But thankfully, Frank and the producer worked it out for third season. He came back to play the Riddler.
That was like the suited Riddler in season 2, right? Suited Riddler?
He was in tights also. But Frank did come up with that suit apparently by himself. He had it custom tailored for the TV show because he wasn't comfortable being in the tights. So he gave them a choice, but they ended up using the tights still for the most part. Our total dehydrator over here from Big Ben Distilleries. This prop is so well done by Troy once again, the same guy who did Mr. Freeze, that Burt Ward was looking at it and he was telling Troy, the guy that made it, he was telling him that this was the actual prop from the TV show, from the movie. And Troy kept having to convince Burt, no, I built it, Burt. It's just a replica. Cesar Romero, the Latin lover, refused to shave his trademark mustache, and our statue replicators out of New York, headed by Greg Mario, even replicated that. That's just something that Abby thought would be fun to put in here.
Okay, so I'm guessing it's the same with the little net that the penguin has.
Since the penguin has penguin food, which are the fish, she thought it would be kind of cute.
That makes sense.
If anything can make sense in here, right? So over here we have the Mad Hatter. This is an in-progress display. Eventually he'll have a pop-top hat with the Super Instant Mesmerizer in it, and also a face.
So you see what happened, he's battered this.
Could be. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But behind the Mad Hatter, we have the pink cowl.
Yeah.
Now this was where the Mad Hatter sprayed Batman's cowl with a radioactive mist in the episode The Contaminated Cowl.
And then Batman couldn't wear it, so he couldn't take it off, so he had to wear it around.
Right.
Eventually he got it changed out.
And thankfully he had anti-radioactive bat pellets in his utility belt for just such an emergency. So this becomes important for us as we go downstairs into that area. We'll come back to the pink cowl in just a little bit. Now, to the right of the Mad Hatter, to the left on the camera here, is Shane, the Western cowboy outlaw. This is the beginnings of this costume, so we've got a bit to go, but we just got the tie-in and the handkerchief.
It was the replacement for Clayface, correct? Or Two-Face?
Not for Two-Face. We think False-Face probably was.
Oh,
but
False-Face, not
But
Shane.
it's hard to say for sure. But yeah,
Okay.
very good. You know about that. Very good. But Shane, they envisioned that Shane would be played by somebody like Clint Eastwood, but Cliff Robertson got the role instead. This building was built in 1880. It was a leather shop originally. And this is a good place maybe to take a look at the ceiling. It took 3 months to restore just the ceiling, to strip it down, to prime it, and to paint it.
The elevator is awesome.
What do you think? You like it?
Yeah, the elevator is kind of cool.
You bet. So Miss Jill and Abby worked really hard on this to bring about the animated intro.
I feel like they did it perfectly.
So eventually there would be an Adam West artwork on this side, and Burt Ward on the other side. You bet. So that's coming up.
Okay.
Did you look above the elevator?
Just every single bad villain asked him to.
So all 37 villains from the show, not every actor, but all 37 characters are represented here.
That's the character I was talking about.
False face, right. That was probably the compromise for Clayface, yes.
Do you mind?
So, at one time, Logansport was a huge railroad town. We had over 236 railroad trains coming through Logansport every day, passenger trains as well as freight trains. So, it's pretty wild. So, right this way, we have a member of the Grand Order of Occidental Nighthawks. I wonder if there's any significance to that name. Oh, yes. Batman has just worked it out. G-O-O-N. Goon. Even our bathrooms are themed. Yes. It's all right.
I can't move.
Oh, yes, of course. This painting was commissioned by my 5th Batmobile customer, and they commissioned Alex Ross, the comic book artist, and Julie Newmar for this. It's limited to only 66 prints, and this is number 27, and they donated it to the museum. So that was a nice coup for us. And then Jill, Abby, and I do puzzles together for family time. So we thought instead of tearing them apart, we might as well put them on display.
I see up the invisible stuff.
Some onomatopoeias from the fight scenes up there. Some artwork by Mark Lemieux. All right. Are you ready to head downstairs
Yeah.
for even more excitement? Here we go. Right, standing. Then Troy's niece made these 2 Batman costumes from original patterns from Simplicity from 1966. So that's a recent addition to the museum. Every time a person comes to the museum, there will be something new to be able to see. One of the most exciting exhibits for me is this one coming up. This is the number 4 George Barris built dragster. This was on drag strips all across the country. It could do 118 miles per hour in the quarter mile. Wild Bill Shrewsbury drove the car, and it was molded directly off the number 1 Batmobile along with 2 other fiberglass copies. George Barris did not give much time to his team to build the car, so the hood and the trunk don't open. Instead, the whole front half of the car flips up. And this,
I can see the seat.
yes. And the parachutes work out the back. The flamethrower works out the back. And a friend of mine was watching the contaminated cowl, the one with the pink cowl that we saw upstairs, and he noticed that there was a yellow light and a red light on the arch. And that gave him the clue that this was a replica, not the original Batmobile. Because the original, the #1 car, has two small red lights, or about half that size, and they have this.
Did you say he was watching the contaminated cowling when he saw this?
Yes.
So this was screen used.
Correct. Right. This was the only one of the 3 fiberglass copies that was screen used for one episode, for one scene in one episode. And we couldn't confirm it back in the days of videotape, right? You remember the resolution of videotape?
No.
But when we came out on Blu-ray, that's where we were able to confirm it. There's no white outline on the door bat, that the beacon cage is cylindrical instead of conical in shape.
I see this is signed by Burt Ward.
Signed by Burt Ward and by Julie Newmar. Fiberglass restored this car 11 years ago, and unfortunately we have some work to do to it again. So we'll be tackling that here in the near future. But what a coup for us to have this in here. And this is the car that cemented the dream that I was going to build my first Batmobile. I was only 11 years old when I saw this car at the Chicago Antique Auto Museum. So imagine getting the call from Doug Jackson, the owner of the car, saying, "Hey, I need you to restore it." I'm like, what? That was wild. Over here you see about half of my collection is out on display. Some items have been loaned to the museum, other items have been donated.
5 times, 10 times, 15 times, and then all the way
It's been really neat to see the collection grow over the years. Best Christmas ever, 1974 with the Mego Batcave. Some people would pronounce it Mego. The Mego or Mego Batcave with the Batmobile and the Batcopter and the Batcycle and a host of villains to go with them.
Yeah.
So I was 9 years old when that came out. And then in 2014, they reissued the Batcave playset, only with much better graphics from the TV show, much better costumes on the action figures. And then a host of other characters were included as well.
So it's like the same sort of articulation, it's just a different costume.
Right. Mm-hmm. Burt Ward was my first celebrity way back in 1972. Burt Ward came to Logansport, and he was doing a bicycle safety awareness tour at 5 of the area schools. And then he was dressed as Robin at the Chrysler dealership. Then Burt, he was walking around one of my cars, the first one that I shipped to Australia. I've met him many times over the years at different conventions. And he said, well, that never worked on our car, and that was always broken on our car, and that was just a special effect, and you got it to work for real. And I met Adam West for the first time when I was 18 years old. And Adam and I got to work together out in Pittsburgh. He was looking at the engine in our 10th Batmobile. It was a Ford 460 bored out to a 514 stroker, had 702 horsepower. So Adam West leaned in and he said, how many horsepower was that again? I said, 702, Adam. He said, that's great. The car that I had was a piece of junk. And it was. The Futura looked gorgeous as the Batmobile, but it was an experimental car. It was never supposed to be driven on a daily basis. So the stunt double was driving the Batmobile at the end of second season. The steering wheel literally broke off in his hands. Adam West had crashed into the Batcave twice inside the set because the brakes failed on him. So it was not meant to be driven 11 years after it was built.
I mean, cars back then were just steel.
Right.
So you can't expect the brakes to work that well.
So the exterior of the Batcave was shot at Bronson Cavern, and it's just a short tunnel, and it was just used for the exterior. The interior was on a soundstage. The exterior of this, the tunnel is 10 feet wide, and then you put 2 folding doors that close inside the cave, so that narrowed it up to only being 8 feet across. How wide is the car?
Isn't it like 5 feet across?
7-foot car in an 8-foot wide opening,
Okay.
6 inches on either side. So they drove out of there about 20 or 25 miles an hour, which would have seemed like 100. But on camera, it would have looked super slow. That's why they sped up the film. Everybody thinks it was because the car had some car trouble the first day of shooting. That's not the reason they sped up the film. They sped it up for that.
Because like, they have to go slow.
Right. Inside of here is a replica of the Batcave. So stage 16 at Culver Studios was the place where they shot all of the Batcave scenes.
It's just like walking onto the TV series.
This is my first Batmobile. This is the one I built when I was 17 years old. 5 crazy kids. We had no automotive experience, no automotive tools. We willed the car into being from the 74 Monte Carlo. Behind me is a replica of the Burroughs 205 unit. There were 3 in the Batcave. In 1955, this would have been a $250,000 computer, a real computer. But by 1965, it was surplus junk. Nothing's changed in the computer world, has it? So 3 of them, and they bounce back and forth between Irwin Allen's Lost in Space TV show on the Jupiter 2, and they would put a gauge here at this place when it was on their set. And otherwise, it was in the Batcave. Over here we have statues of Batman and Robin. Some of the costume parts were loaned by some great Batman fans like Troy and I think your dad supplied the boots, as I recall.
Yeah, I think he did actually.
So this is a Chuck Williams cowl and Chuck Williams trunks. And then we have Chuck Williams Robin costume aside from the gloves and the boots. And then the gloves are not Chuck Williams over here either. But other than that, yes, they're rubies. That's a Chuck Williams Burt Ward head that we just installed on our mannequin. So what do you think? How does he look?
Yeah, I'm
How tall are you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't heard.
Let's say about 5'7".
Okay.
Bert was only about 5'8", so our statue's a little tall. So Lego Batman is loved and appreciated, just like all the other versions of Batman. Up here we have a transition from the Futura days into Batmobile. So 5,000 pounds of clay was used in Detroit to create a full-size replica of the Futura. That was shipped off to Italy, where the Ghia hand-built the steel body over tree stumps and other wooden forms to make it happen. It was painted red, and the movie had started with a kiss in 1959. And then George Barris got the fateful call. You were about to say?
And then it turns into this beauty.
Right, in 1965, September, they said, what have you got? Because ABC doesn't want the Batman TV show in September, they want it in January. What can you do?
You got 3 weeks from.
Right. So George Barris shows them the Futura. He converts it in just a few weeks and paints it with a black primer to begin with and white airbrush striping to let the network decide where the stripes should go.
That spike in the front does not look safe.
It was not safe. The cable cutter blade was removed about halfway through first season. And it was never used on the show. Isn't that wild?
They have it, but they never used it.
Right. And then the car was painted with a gloss black paint job with the super bright red-orange striping on the car. And that's what we have come to love and remember on the TV show. So over here we have a Jazz Inc. 1/6 scale Batmobile. This came from the Netherlands. You have to pre-order it, so there aren't any available, unfortunately. But people are selling them on eBay. So when they were new, they were about $1,500, and on eBay they're going for about $3,000.
So, just a quick question. Isn't that map St. Louis?
Yes, the giant lighted lucite map of Gotham City was based on St. Louis. You're correct. Flipped backwards. Yes, you know your stuff. So the original Batmobile was a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. And back in those days, fuel caps were located behind the license plate in the rear of the bumper, right?
There's a little bit of a problem with the Batmobile.
So this is a rag stuck inside of the fuel neck. So yes, so they shot a flame right past that fuel filler neck.
No, I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure flame plus gas equal explosion.
Yeah, that would not have been very safe, would it?
Yeah.
So George Barris saw the pilot. He was furious about it. They lied to him, saying that they built a replica of the rear end of the car. They had no time to do so. So George Barris gets the car back after first season. He extends the rocket exhaust tube, puts a butane tank in the trunk, puts a second tube inside, and then he moves the gas tank under the rear windshields and cuts a fuel door in the top of Robin's fin.
Okay.
So that's what they did. And they could do it any time, but surprisingly, they only did it twice. They reshot the scenes of the Batcave with the Batmobile driving out of the cave, and then on the Batboat dock, you got to see it fired off one more time there. Surprisingly, that was it. Remember that the parachutes were a very important part of the Batmobile?
Yeah, the
Emergency bat turn lever, right? So that's what Adam is holding on to in this picture. It was just a prop, though. Do you know what was the real pulls for the parachute? Those rings, right below the fire extinguisher.
Makes sense because like they look like they released those.
Can you read what it says on the tag?
It's a little bit blurry.
It says, "Do not pull." Can you imagine somebody would get inside, dump the parachutes right before they were getting ready to shoot a shot for the show?
There's that blade.
Right. So removed after about halfway through first season because the black tip was sticking out even when the blade was retracted. So it was cutting people's shins. Our bat shield over here is a replica made by our buddy Alex out of Nashville.
He was the Robin on opening night.
Yes, he was here for the grand opening, and he was also there for Burt Ward's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So signed by Burt Ward, number 22 of 100. Over here we have a Corgi display, or Corgi as some people will pronounce it. And this is one of my oldest items in the collection that goes back to the 70s, but the Batboat goes back even older. It goes back to 1969. I was only about 4 or 5 years old when I picked that one up as a Christmas or birthday present, I'm sure. Over here we have the bottom part of the bat poles.
So I'm gonna guess you're not allowed to slide down.
Not allowed to slide down, but you are allowed behind them for photo ops. So you can step right up onto the black. Yes, perfect. And you can pretend to slide down and land. Right, the compressed steam bat pole lift to get back up to the wingman study.
So you were talking a lot about the flamethrower on the back of the Batmobile.
Yes.
Is it functional on this one?
No. As a 17-year-old, my dad absolutely forbade me from putting a flamethrower in the car.
Wonder why.
It was a good idea.
What is this thing?
This was never explained on the TV show, used or labeled, so we really don't know. It was just, in Star Wars language, we would say it's Greebly.
What is this thing?
We don't know for sure. It was never labeled on the show or discussed or used. So it's just an extra added detail that they put into the Batcave, along with several other components that were along the walls. So through this tunnel here, we move into our last room.
The elevator goes there.
Yes, the real elevator's that way, but on the show, the service elevator, Alfred's elevator, was to the left of the bat holes.
I feel like you should have it facing the other way. Just like the elevator over here is psych, it's stairs.
Psych, right. Here we have a continuation of our Lego characters. This is Batgirl, of course. We have Barbara Gordon, one of our latest statues that was added. And Barbara Gordon naturally was a librarian, so it made sense for us to add a bookcase over here. And these are some really cool biographies by some of the actors that were on the show. Over here we have a Futura display. The original car was a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car that did not go into production. It was never intended to do so. It was entirely designed to get attention, and the Futura certainly did that. So this is a replica sculpture of the full-scale car. And this is designed entirely to make a mold, a fiberglass mold. That's the only purpose of it.
This definitely looks like that.
Right. So it makes perfect sense that this was the perfect car for George Barris to use. So we fixed it up in about 3 months. We made a mold of it, cast a Futura body, and then just like George Barris did with the original Futura body, the metal one back in 1965, I was doing in fiberglass in 2003. Cutting open the wheel wells, bringing the fins onto the doors, the hood scoop down the nose, headlight hoods were closed, and then also scalloping the fins. Then I made a Batmobile mold, and that's what we're using today. The nefarious King Tut is over here. King Tut was the only one that found the Batcave on his own by drilling for Nightlineum under Wayne Manor. Wait a minute, under Wayne Manor
Wait
carries a 3. Right, wait a second. Bruce Wayne is really Batman, and Dick Grayson is Robin the Boy Wonder. We figured it out, didn't we? Thankfully, he was knocked on the head and forgot all of that detail. My friend Pete Noakes was a perfect King Tut cosplayer for us. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2017. But in addition to being a great King Tut cosplayer, he was an actor on stage doing many productions here in Logansport. He was an upholsterer and a great friend. And over here we have Batgirl. Batgirl on display as a statue with the Lurex material. And then is the world's first replica of the Batgirl cycle, made by my Batmobile painter, Ed Merrill. So any questions or anything I haven't gone over that you'd like to know? All right, well thank you so much for your tour here today. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Have a great one.
Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video. See ya.